Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining me on this Friday afternoon. I'm just going to take a moment to share. Feel free to share also. I appreciate that when you're sharing. I take that as a compliment that you are liking what you see here on my social media sites and are happy to pass it on. Oh, Kathy, is it snowing where you are? Out in Wyoming? No, here it's just cold and dreary and a little bit windy in Ohio. In fact, I would enjoy some snow. I think the white snow always brings about a brightness to what can otherwise be a gray day. Excuse me. Okay, today I am typically on Fridays. I often do fun fold cards, and today I'm doing something that can be used as a fun fold card. It does fit in our standard mailing envelope. However, it can also be used as a piece of home decor or a holiday decoration. So before I show you the project or show you the inspiration for my project and then make one with you, I want to draw your attention to the lovely Love You Always suite on page 10, 11, and I believe 12, 13. Okay, and then there's some additional things that are great for Valentine's as well. But the Love You Always suite is featured on pages 10 through 13. This is one of those mega suites that has 2 stamp bundles. These are both stamp and die bundles. And then of course you can see there's a nice variety of papers. We get 3 different papers and a fun treat box, and then 3 different embellishments. I just happened to think I didn't pull out any ribbon, and you know I like using ribbon when I can. So today's project, it requires no stamping whatsoever. I'm going to be doing cutting and die cutting and assembly. And in today's project, I'm using Blushing Bride cardstock as well as the Love You Always Specialty Designer Series paper and the coordinating foil sheets. I love these 2. You can make the simplest card and it will be so pretty and so elegant when you use these products. And the 3 colors are Blushing Bride, Rococo Rose, and Sahara Sand. So you get a fun variety with the 2 pinks and that neutral as well. So who's ready to get started? And by the way, this suite is not just for Valentine's Day. What I love about this suite is its versatility. It's great for Valentine's Day and telling somebody you love them, but it's also great for engagements, bridal showers, weddings, or simply to tell somebody that they are thought of and loved. So keep that in mind when you consider purchasing this set. Don't skip over it because you don't send Valentine cards or you already have a Valentine set. These 2 sets are highly versatile. So I encourage you to take a closer look at those. Now here is, like I said, a lot of times on Fridays, I focus on fun fold cards. This is something, a project that can be used as a fun fold card, but you can use it yourself for a home decor or a decoration piece, or the person receiving it can think of it as a card with something fun. I just got distracted. There's a question here. So Kathy, if you did not receive your catalog yet, I know that you were on the, where is the cover? You were on my list to receive one in the first mailing. So if you could just shoot me an email or a direct message and with a reminder that you need the catalog. So if you don't have this and the celebration brochure, I can drop it in the mail to you tomorrow. I have another set going out for somebody as well. So yes, if you are one of my purchasing customers, you should have received your catalogs. I know there have been a lot of issues with USPS. Stampin' Up! Did get out all of their the mailings that I had requested. I double checked that and double checked that. Some customers have received one publication and not the other. Some received both, and some have received none. So please let me know, Kathy, and anybody else that is watching. Okay, so this is not today's project. This is one I made a few years ago. You might recognize some of the different elements on here from previous products we had. I think this is probably 2 to 3 years old. But I got this out. I was doing a little decorating in my house, and I got this out and thinking, okay, I might want to change it up and make something new. So it does fold up like a card. As I said, you can fit it in a standard mailing envelope, but it's pretty to just set on a coffee table or on a fireplace mantle, something like that. It could be wonderful in a college dorm or a senior residence home for somebody you love. So let me show you how easy it is to make this. There is a lot of cutting and die cutting involved. So most of it I did ahead of time, but I wanted to show you specifically how to cut the base for this project. You're going to use one sheet of 8.5 by 11 designer series paper, 8.5 by 11 cardstock. It is Friday, isn't it? I saw somebody post TGIF. Yes, TGIF. This feels like it's been a short week, but yet it feels like a really long week because I had that 4-day creative escape weekend, got home Monday evening, and just back to work Tuesday, and I feel like I've been going nonstop. So yes, TGIF. But start with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. And I want you to score it twice. You're going to score it 4 1/4 inches, and then you're going to slide this down and score it 8.5 inches. Okay, so a full sheet of cardstock and score at 4 1/4 and 8.5 inches. Then you are going to turn your cardstock to the vertical position, and you're going to cut in half. So I've got it lined up at the 4 1/4 mark. I'm cutting at the 4 1/4 mark, and you've got these two pieces. Now I want you to take one of those, and you're actually going to cut it at 8.5. Okay, this is extra. You might be able to put this to use with some of your die cutting during the project. The other piece, and when you are making these cuts, be sure that your 2 squares on each piece are to the left. You only want to be cutting from that small edge, that small flap. So now I'm going to cut this one at 9 inches. Okay, so I'm going to show you again how I did this. Okay, I scored at 4 1/4 and 8.5. Then I cut at 4 1/4 vertically, and then I cut off one piece at 8.5. So I've got the 2 squares that just fold. This is extra. And then I cut the second piece at 9 inches. So I've got the 2 squares, but I have also left with this 1/2 inch flap. Okay. Now you want to pull in your bone folder. Whenever you're making fun folds and using lots of layers especially, you want to be sure that, oh, I see a little bit of fuzziness on my cutting edge. Do you all know what that means when you start seeing, for example, I don't know how well you can see this. Can you see the fuzziness there on my cutting edge? Do you all know what that means when you see that fuzzy edge? That means it's time to replace the blade in the cutter. And I have found I'm not replacing the blade nearly as often as I have on past trimmers, but that's always my clue. When I start to see that, I know it's time to put in a dull blade, or put in a new blade, because that one is dull. Yes, Kathy and Mary Lou, you are right on that. Okay, that little 1/2 inch flap that's only on one of your pieces needs to be folded up and in. And this is where we're going to attach the 2 pieces of cardstock. So this is how the pieces should look and will fit together. You're going to put your adhesive on the top of that little flap, because then that flap is hidden on the back side of your project. So this is what it looks like from the top. And this is what it looks like when you fold it. And again, it does fit in a standard size mailing envelope. And it's okay for you to go maybe a little bit tall on your decorating, but you don't want to go any wider to make sure it will fit in the envelope nicely. And this is what it looks like from the top, looking above. Dottie, welcome. Thanks for sharing. I'm so happy to see many of you on here today. Just trying to follow along and see if there are questions as I go along. Now, I told you that I had previously cut some paper. So the next thing I'm going to add to my project is 4 pieces of the Blushing Bride foil. This is part of that Love You Always suite. The foil has 3 colors in one package. Blushing Bride, Rococo Rose, and Sahara Sand. And I love them all, I have to say. Okay, let me flip things around here so I can reach better. And I'm just going to put one of these foil squares in each of the squares on this accordion fold strip of cardstock. My cardstock is Blushing Bride. One thing I will mention when you're working with the foil, it's nearly impossible for you to keep fingerprints off the foil while you're working. However, after you've completed the project, what I do is I just go back in. I have a real soft cloth, like a lint-free cloth would work, microfiber. My bathroom towels in this basement bathroom are super soft, and you just kind of want to, in very light circular motions, you can just wipe off those fingerprints. So no worries. Okay. So I have this done. The next thing I did was cut 4 squares of the Coordinating Designer Series paper. And these measure 3.5 inches. Let me double check that. Yes, 3.5 inches. And the reason I made them, 3.5 inches, so we have 4.25 Blushing Bride squares. My foil is 4 inch. And then I skipped a layer because I wanted more of the foil to show. So you can really make these squares any size that you like. But I chose to make them 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches. But you can play around with the products you have. It really depends on how you're decorating your squares, what size you want that smallest layer to be. But sometimes it's fun, you know, this is what the layers would have looked like if I had made them larger. You can see it on this one, okay? So I had 4¼ inch, what is that color? I'm not even sure. It's retired color, I think. And then the green or the foil or the Flirty Flamingo layer, that next layer, I cut 4 inches, and then my DSP was 3¾ inches. So you can make it whatever you like. Sometimes fun, it's fun like that to bring a project, as I say, pull a project from the archives and remake it with new product. Okay, so there I have the basis of my project, and I told you I did lots of die cutting ahead of time. So let me show you some of the dies I used and then some of the pieces as well. Again, these are the stamp sets in this suite, and they both come with a huge set of dies. Lovely lipstick. Thank you, Vicki. I knew one of you would know that color. Lovely lipstick. And I pulled a number of dies from both of those sets. This one to begin with. And I'm going to show you, as I show you the dies I used, show you what the pieces look like. That die cuts out these two pieces. So that's 2 squares, 1 die cut. I also used all of these pieces. And these, if you can read backwards, the words say, "Love you always," but then there are also die cuts to mount these on. So I'll show you what I mean with those. I cut the words, "Love always," from Blushing Bride cardstock. Then I cut these mounting pieces from the Blushing Bride foil. And let me show you, this is so easy to match up these letters with the backgrounds to put them on. I just use tiny dots of glue, okay? And you don't need a lot, just a few here and there. When you add these to the background piece, keep in mind there is a little bit of a border around each of the letters when you mount them. Oops, that might be a big dot of glue. There we go. Hi, Leah, thanks for joining in. You can see that I use very little glue when I'm doing this. Another alternative to using the multi-purpose glue would be using the fine tip glue pen or even adhesive sheets. With the adhesive sheets, you would lay some cardstock on an adhesive sheet first, cut to the side that you need it, and then die cut your words out. And then you'd simply peel off the backing and lay them on. So now I have this. Okay. A few other pieces I die cut because I was very curious how these would work. I used this one, and if you can see in my little dish here, there are a whole bunch of these little hearts, That's what this does. It cuts out 6 little hearts at one time. I also use this die to cut out some little flowers, because now I might want to add some flower or heart accents on my project. And I really just cut those from scraps after I cut out the larger dies. And then finally, there's also this long piece. And what it does, you just have a strip of cardstock, foil, whatever you want. And you lay this on top of it and run it through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And you end up with these pieces. The top one has just a little scallop edge to it, which could be fun to use. But the really decorative one is this one. Let me put it on something white so you can see it a little bit better. Isn't that cool? It's got all the little hearts, the dots, and even like a stitched look to it at the bottom. But I think that would be a fun thing to put, or it could go here as well. Okay. And then lastly, and I did not cut this out yet because I want to stamp first, but this coordinates with some of the messages in the Always in My Heart stamp set. Be My Valentine, Happy Anniversary. So it cuts this nice banner, but it also puts in some scoring lines that allow you to fold those flaps back so it looks like the banner is actually kind of waving or in motion, which is sort of fun. And that will be the one piece of stamping that I do for this project. And then we'll put everything together. By the way, some of you have asked in the past, my dish, Create What You Love, is magnetic. This is something I found by chance at Hobby Lobby one day, and I got 2 of them. There are other things like a little magnetic dish that you can get at, say, like an automotive store or place that sells like nuts and bolts and screws. Actually, here it is. This one's a little heavier. And it just looks like that, and it's magnetic. That one actually might be a little bit stronger. But I have a few of them around. It just helps me keep track of all of my dies. So let me quickly stamp this, and then we'll die cut it so you can see how that works. By the way, sentiments, I love this one. The best kind of friend is the kind like you. I have used that so many times. Oops, I pulled out the wrong one. I'll do Be My Valentine. And then I'm using a scrap of my Blushing Bride that I used to die cut the words earlier. I'm going to stamp this with Rococo Rose because I want to see what this looks like in Rococo Rose. I kind of like that, and I think stamping it in Rococo Rose kind of gives the look of that, the foil accents that we have in the foil sheets. You know what I mean? Like right here, that the foil accents are actually darker than the Blushing Bride base that it's on. So now I'm going to pull some of that off. I'm going to set this over my stamping. I want to make sure you can see this. Alrighty. I'm going to set this over my stamping. If you're feeling like it might move on you a little bit, you can always add a little bit of washi tape. I think I'm going to be okay here. Yes. By the way, I love my new mini machine. Harbor Freight. Yes, Dottie, you are right. Harbor Freight. They're just a couple of dollars, I think. And they certainly are handy. Even in the craft room. You know, they're not just for the tools and nuts and bolts. They're very handy in the craft room. So now I have this piece. And I told you that, let me get this out of the way. I told you that it has these little score lines. All you have to do is fold back and forth a little bit, make a Z fold on each end, just like that. Okay, so now let's put the finishing touches on. I'm thinking I don't want all the words right next to each other. So let me see how I'm going to do this. Maybe like that. And where's that little strip? I think I'm going to cut this strip down to the same size as my designer series paper. So that's 3 by 3 1/4. Oops, did it cut? It didn't cut because I was using my scoring tool. No, it should be 3 1/2. I said that wrong. 3 1/2. What is it? Measure once, cut twice. No, measure twice, cut once. That's what I should have done. Measure once, measure twice, cut once. Okay, I'm just going to add this with a little bit of my multi-purpose glue. Just run a real small, narrow line of glue at the bottom. Trying to decide if I want it. Yeah, I think I'll take it all the way to the bottom of that DSP. And then I will add this heart with dimensionals, because dimensionals always make for fun projects. I'm going to add the love always words with dimensionals also. You don't need a whole lot as far as the dimensionals go. Even 2 on the large one is plenty. If you put lots and lots on every piece, you can be making your project quite bulky, which will make it doesn't matter if you're just using it at home, but if you're intending to mail it, you want to cut out some of that bulkiness. And this one, I think I'm going to actually use, do I have, okay, I've got some mini dimensionals here. These are black, but they will be hidden, so it's okay. They won't show through. And I'm just putting a few on some of these areas that have the larger leaves. Oh, throw that one out. That one's not cooperating with me. Put another one there. Just 'cause it's sort of a delicate thing. Maybe one at the top. You can see on this one, because it is more delicate, I am adding a few more. That one's showing through that hole a little bit. Let me adjust it. Okay. And this die fits nicely on here. and does not get into the area of the folds, which is nice too. Now on this next one, I'm going to put the dimensionals on the flap, whoops, the flap only. I just think this banner is so fun, the way it has that 3D effect. And I don't know, how should I don't know if I should do straight across or at a little bit of an angle. And then it just kind of pops up on its own. Now, if you feel you want to put one in the center, you can. I typically don't. You can even pull these out a little bit further if you want. But that's the way I adhere mine. I just kind of fold them flat. The thing is, if you fold it flat and put it on, then if you are mailing it, it goes in your envelope nice and flat without just crushing it in places. Okay, and I think I should add some of these little hearts and flowers that I cut. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can put little dots of glue on, or you can use your glue dots. Do that. So if I were to use my multi-purpose glue, I would just put a dot of glue and I would drop the little pieces on top of the glue. You could even pick them up with the putty end of your take your pick tool. Put some up here. You might even be able to fit a mini dimensional on these little hearts as well, if you wanted to pop them up a little bit. I think I'll put one right up there on the banner too. Oh, I was going to move that one, but it's down pretty good. So I have that. I'm going to add a small heart to the inside of my larger heart over here. And instead of using a mini dimensional, and you could cut your regular size dimensionals, cut it just a teeny piece off and do that. Or you can just layer up 2 or 3 glue dots like this. And that works too. There. And then I have some of these fun flowers that I think I will add. I was thinking I could put one, not sure. Maybe over here. It could kind of be like raining down flowers and hearts. Put that there. Nope, I don't like it there. Too close to the other one. About like that. And maybe I'll put one over here on the L as well. Right up there. All right, so what do you think? The hearts and flowers would be very neat in a shaker card. Yes, a standard traditional shaker card, or even that shaker card, the easy, what I like to call the easy rendition of the shaker card, where you build it with a clear envelope. Absolutely, I think that's a wonderful idea. So what do you think? You think it needs a bow. Okay, can't, Vicki, I will fulfill that request for you. So this fun ribbon, okay, I'm just going to tell you that what is it called? Blushing Bride Metallic Ribbon. Simple name. I love both sides of this. One has that shimmery rose gold look to it, and the other side is more of a true Blushing Bride look. So yes, let's just make a pretty bow with this now, and we'll find a place to add it. Vicki Parker, do you have a place in mind where you think it should be added? I'm trying to pull this through so that it turns to the sparkly side, but really either side. A faker shaker, I love that name, Janelle, a faker shaker. I have to remember that, faker shaker card, a faker shaker. I love those fun names, and truly they do help to identify the different things that we make. Sometimes people ask me, what's the name of that fun fold card? And I don't know. There are only so many ways to identify a fun fold card, right? Sometimes they have names, Z-fold card, gatefold card, joyfold card, things like that. And sometimes they just don't. But I like those. What'd you say? On the left side, like my other one. Okay, here's the other one. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I was also thinking here. That might be too busy though. You tell me, Vicki. Upper left or lower right? I'll do whatever you like. Thank you, Dottie. Dottie, that's my job, to make it look easy, because these things should not be complicated. They should be easy enough for us to replicate. It doesn't do me any good to show you something that's super involved or difficult, where you're going to get frustrated or it's going to take a long time for you to make, because you wouldn't make it then. I want to show you things that you all can make, and then I think you all would enjoy making. And I don't mean that in an offensive or insulting way at all. That's just from my own experience. When I get directions, watch a demonstration, something like that, I want to know that I'm going to be able to make it too. So that's just kind of my philosophy. Oh, did I put it in the right spot? Vicki says either place would be okay, as long as it's got a pretty bow on, right? Isn't that lovely? I love the way this turned out. Okay, would somebody like to win this as a little gift? Let me show you. It does fit in an envelope. And you can certainly, if you're sending it to somebody, you can certainly write a beautiful message or note on the back, and it fits in there perfectly. It is a little thick, so it might cost you, or it will cost you, extra in postage, but maybe $1 or $2. And for a simple, quick gift, that certainly, with your own personal touch on it, that certainly is worth that $1 or $2 to mail. And of course, you could reduce the thickness of this even more by not putting dimensionals on. But I think it just, using those dimensionals really adds something special to the project. Okay, if you would like to win this, be sure that you comment. Every time you comment throughout, I will put your name in the hat. And if you share it, you can also get your name added again. It doesn't matter if you share now or if you shared earlier. Just click share, pass on this Facebook Live video, and write the word or type the word share, and I'll add your name a second time or multiple times, however many times you have commented. I thank you for being with me today. If you love this project, be sure to come back to Stampin' Peace VIP group on Monday at 11, because I have another coordinating project that I pulled from my archives. It would be pretty framed, Dottie. I didn't think of that, but it would be pretty framed. So this is the project I pulled from the archives and cased it with new products to make something beautiful. But I have another project I pulled from the archives this week, I should say. And it was a collage to coordinate with my love banner. So join me on Monday morning and we will recreate this with some of those Love You Always suite products. Okay, so that's Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. I hope to see you then. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and please wear a mask. Take care.